Hello, everybody, and welcome to our podcast, Welcome to Livingston, where we invite local businesses, people, and organizations in to talk about what they are giving to our community. My name is Don Patella.
And I'm Angela Patella, and we're with the Patella Group Real Estate Professionals. As realtors and brokerage owners, we bring valuable insight into the local market and community every week.
Thanks for listening, and welcome to Livingston. Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of our podcast, Welcome to Livingston. My name is Don Patella.
And I'm Angela Patella, and we're with the Patella Group Real Estate Professionals.
Yes, and we have a great episode, I think a fun episode today. But before we get started, just wanted to take a minute to acknowledge our sponsor. Today's episode of the Welcome to Livingston podcast is brought to you by our valued sponsor, Jim Paquette, with Lake Michigan Credit Union. He's a trusted mortgage lender who has lived and worked in our community for many years. Jim is dedicated to helping our neighbors achieve their homeownership dreams and is proud to support the local businesses that make our area special. And just a great guy.
Yeah, no, he does such a wonderful job, and we're proud that he's willing to recognize us and and be our sponsor.
No, it is a great partnership to have him help the show out and to just help through him buoy up all these businesses that we're able to bring on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really very local oriented, and he's such a local guy, even though it's Lake Michigan Credit Union, and there are locations throughout the state. He has his office right in downtown Brighton, and he's frequently just out and about in our community.
Well, I just think it's an acknowledgement of how great our community is.
Yeah.
To have people like that in it.
Yeah, it's really great.
Yep. So today's episode, I was excited to think about today's episode. Because, we have businesses on all the time. We talk about real estate and such. And sometimes we overview some things going on in the county. But today's, all about the county, but a little bit different, a little bit specialized.
Right. Because there are families, there are people with kids, and we wanted to do something special for them. And we do have a lot of our guests lined up for the coming weeks here. So this was our last chance to have an episode that's you and I for a while.
Exactly.
And so we thought this is a perfect time to point out fun in Livingston County with kids.
No, it is the winter right now. These places we're going to talk about are good all year long, most of them. But when you're in the dead of the winter and the kids are cooped up in the house, sometimes you're like, I need to find something outside of the house for them to do.
Yes.
They're bouncing off the walls, and for different ages, it's a different way of bouncing off the walls, but there's always those things out there that you're like, hey, let's take them out someplace, grab a couple other friends maybe, and let's go do something fun.
And these may be places that you've been to before, or maybe you've never had a chance to go in, or maybe you've just even forgotten that it's there. And
right.
I thought it was a good reminder to have some different options and get your mind thinking to go do something fun.
Right. And one of the other things I'd like to point out, because I'm a parent as well, sometimes it's great to go out with the kids and do things, but there's some of the things on here that you can drop the kids off and then go get a coffee.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They're
old enough.
If they're old enough, a little bit of time on your own as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Lots of options.
Yes.
And we had a little bit of help on this because, frankly, we asked our daughter in terms of, all right, we're going to do this episode. And she was full of ideas herself. So
right. Yeah. So where do you want to get started?
Wherever you want to go.
Well, we have a list here. So let's kind of go through them and maybe we'll group them together, maybe not. But, the first one that we have on the list is one that I love. I think one that a lot of people haven't heard of.
Right. Or have forgotten about it.
Right. And that's the arcade here in Brighton. The arcade is on Grand River as you exit Brighton. You head toward the east towards South Line and such. Right. So it's before you hit Pleasant Valley Road. The arcade is truly like an old-fashioned arcade.
It's all the old games and pinball machines.
Pinball machines. They've updated a little bit, so there's some new games now as well. But what I love is you can go in there and you can play Pac-Man. You can play Dig Dug. They have Space Invaders. They have the old Star Wars game. It's
flesh from the past.
It is. And the first time we took them there, we did a Cub Scout outing.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
It was the end of your party, I think. And it was hard to tell whether the boys themselves or their parents had more fun at it.
I will tell you, the dads were almost more giddy than the kids because they walked through and it was games that they knew how to play. And it was like, you have been beating me at home on PlayStation. It's my turn.
Yes. It was really fun. And a lot of people I talk to don't even know that that's there and available.
Exactly. And so the great thing about the arcade is when you go in, you pay a flat fee for 2 hours, 4 hours all day. And you don't have to put the quarters in the machines.
Right.
You just go and play. And, you can also...
That's how it always was. It's been a little while since we've been there. So.
But you always used to be able to rent it out as well.
For parties. Like the Cub Scouts.
Yeah. So it's a great option for people there. And check it out. At one point, they had pinball tournaments running out of there as well.
Fun.
So cool. I think it's a great one. It's called the Arcade. You can Google it. It's there. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, one of our relatively recent guests was the escape room in Brighton.
Yeah.
And that's something that's fun. That's probably more for older kids than younger.
But we had a chance to take our family there and check that out.
Yeah. So when we did the episode, I'd never gone on one before. And so now I have. That was very nice for them to do that, to have us out. Our kids had obviously been to them before. They really enjoyed them. It was an interesting experience. It was kind of like how I thought, but it was actually probably a little bit more fun.
Right.
Because I'm not so good at all the puzzles or riddles, but each of us contributed in our own way.
100%. And I love that it's very interactive.
Yeah.
And you can go at your own pace. At the beginning, I was a little hesitant because I was like, oh my gosh, are there going to be enough clues? What if someone's grabbing this and then there's nothing left for someone else to grab? But there's so much going on that you don't have to worry about that.
Right. And our kids just dove right in because they've done it before. Like, what are you doing? And you're finding stuff and you're doing stuff and we don't even know what's going on.
Exactly.
So that was culture shock.
So next time you'd have a different perspective a little bit, right?
For sure.
But the nice thing is this is for an hour, right?
Yeah.
So you can go online and you can check out their different rooms and you can book a time slot or you can call them up. Try to do this in advance because a lot of times they have people that are that have already booked time. But if you're looking for a last minute and it's a Friday night, give them a call. Maybe they had a cancellation or maybe they have an opening and you're able to get in there and it's a nice 1 hour. And I know they do corporate events and such, but it's good for kids. It's good for adults. It's good for a date night.
Yeah, it's good for people to do together. But
Exactly.
In terms of kids and in that concept of something fun to do that's different, that one's a little pricier. That's more of a splurge, but definitely a special occasion thing to do as a family, and that creates memories that you'll have.
Exactly.
So it makes a big difference.
So it's fun. And our daughter has done it multiple times, and, she's a teenager, and it's a perfect age for teenagers to do that.
Right. Exactly. And that's when you could drop them off.
Exactly.
Right? But also for both of these places, I think their hours, definitely look that up. Call to make sure that they're open because there's only certain times that those places are available.
Exactly. The next one on the list is a couple things at the same time, right?
Yeah.
This is more of the old-fashioned, we have Roll-A-Rama in Howell on Grand River, right between Howell and Brighton, right? Roll-A-Rama is...
Is that Howell or is it Brighton?
It's a Howell address, I believe.
Is it?
It is.
I was thinking it was Brighton.
But it's right on the border there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Roll-A-Rama is great because it's the old-fashioned roller skating.
Rink. Yeah.
It's a roller rink.
When we were all young. Right?
Yes, and we would go to the roller rink on Friday night and Saturday night, right? And you do all the different things and everything. But the nice thing in Roll-A-Rama is they have an arcade area. They have Zap Zone in there.
Zap Zone, yes.
So you're able to do laser tag.
Laser tag and all that.
Right. I know they have one of those gym structures that you can crawl through and go in and everything, kind of a la the Castaway Cafe, which we'll talk about later. Mm-hmm. But Zap Zone is great because there's a lot of different things you can do there, right? You can go there for parties. You can get pizza while you're there. But I know that they have daytime open sessions. They have nighttime open sessions. One of those things that you want to call ahead or go online to check out. But that is a great event or place to go to when it's a snowy day, when it's a rainy day, when you're just looking to get out of the house and do something active.
Right. And all of these do tend to have a bit of a price tag, but, sometimes it's a small price compared to one's sanity.
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, something just a little calmer, more interesting if you want something that's leaned more for you and less active for the kids then, is certainly the historic Howell Theater that we've had in that's, support local. I know we do have the big name movie theaters around for sure, the MJR, the Imagine, that kind of thing. But in terms of, we like to support local.
Right.
And a chance to go see a movie, make sure it's not that crowded. I mean, I know it's not the cushy seats, but it's still more of a vintage experience like we would have had when we were young. And it's right in downtown Howell, and he has a lot of the current movies that come out. And
he shows some classic ones too. Yeah. I was driving by there yesterday, and they were playing The Wolfman, which is like a really older film and such. So he does some nice events there where you're like, oh my gosh, they in the fall he does a horror marathon.
Right before Halloween.
Right.
Every year. Yeah, it's a whole big thing. So there are some fun, cool things out there in terms of something to do. Right.
And I would say for MJR, they do like an older movie like once a week, every week. Like when I went there over.
I feel like that was more the summer.
I think they do it year round now.
Okay.
Where you can go in and When Harry Met Sally is playing, or Willy Wonka and the chocolate, the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But I love the Howell Historic Theater. I think it's great to have that.
Most of our ideas are all pretty active because that's pretty much what kids need. But at least, right in the middle of our list is a chance to take a break there. So now back to being active. This one is kind of fun, and I'd like you to talk through a lot of the different elements of it. Is ice skating.
Yeah, no, this is great because there are a lot of different elements. We have some nice ice rinks in the area. There's one in Brighton, there's one in Howell, there's one up in Heartland. They do have their open times where you can go in and you can go ice skating. Some of them have skate rentals and such, some of them don't, but to check them out, I think the ice skating is really great. There are some times where they have open skating where you might be able to go and jump into a pickup game for ice hockey if you wanted to, right? I am not a good enough ice skater that I would ever try to play ice hockey, but I can stop, which is good, right?
Well, and there's a lot of people I know out there that whether their kids were in hockey or not, maybe they were when they were younger.
Yes.
It's a big thing.
It is a big thing. So you have some nice ice rinks that you're able to do that with. One of the ones we're going to talk about in Heartland has some non-ice skating things right next to it in the same building, which is great. But what I wanted to point out in this one is a great thing that we have coming to our county, right? I think that's the biggest thing in here. Howell is building an outdoor skate rink. It is going to be right downtown. It's going to be by the train depot, right next to the children's gardens that they put in a couple years ago. It is going to be a covered ice rink that you're going to be able to rent skates at. You're going to be able to get hot cocoa while you're there. They're going to have a little fire pit area where you're able to warm up and such. They're going to have a nice big parking lot next to it. I believe it's over 100 spots that they're going to be putting in there, which is going to relieve some congestion from downtown.
Because it's still within walking distance of,
right.
Go for a walk after.
Exactly. And then they're going to be using that during the summer for farmers market type things and everything. So it is a great addition, but for a winter activity, wow.
Yep.
It's just a great addition, a la, our own little Rockefeller Center where you're able to, or Campus Marcus downtown, where you're able to get outside and do some ice skating and, have the snow in the air and feel the cold and enjoy.
Absolutely. You were talking about the ice rink up in Heartland, and right next door to that is Bounce, which is the gymnastics place.
Yes.
And especially when our kids were really little, that's a really good one. So if people have the really little ones there that need to be able to run around and, maybe it's one of those days that's so cold they can't even go play outside and you're pulling your hair out. I know periodically they have open days at Bounce, but there's all the equipment, there's the mats, there's, tumbling and everything.
You can get classes there, which is great.
Yeah, that's good.
But they do have open times where you can get in that aren't the classes.
Right.
So that is really good to be able to go in there and get that energy out and do that gymnastics and such, but in a semi-controlled environment where you're not worried about them getting hurt as much.
Yes, this is true. Right. Because they do have eyes on people. And
100%.
So that makes it really, really handy.
And I really do like Bounce for that. I know Heartland through the old high school has an area that they open up sometimes that you can take for parties and such that we went to a few times that does gymnastics and such as well. But bounce is a great option.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
The next one on the list is kind of like bounce, but kind of not, because it's just the trampoline aspect.
Yeah.
And maybe I think they have a zip line and they have a couple of other little things and such, but that's Airborne.
Right. That's another place just to get a lot of energy out. And again, that's the little ones or the older teenagers. It's really the whole gamut.
Right. And that is in Brighton. It is over by MJR, by where Staples is. Target in that strip mall on the back side back there. I wouldn't call it a strip mall, but there's like the 3 or 4 big box stores next to each other. The Airborne's one of them.
That's true. Yeah. For the people who've been here a little while, it's kind of down from where the Borders used to be. And
I'm
dating myself
It was a Bed Bath & Beyond at one point.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You could see it from the freeway almost.
Yeah.
But
if you really want to date yourself, they had a Circuit City on the other side.
There you go. Now you're making me feel old. But at least for those that have been here for a while, that Airborne is really fun. Maybe there's people listening that are on the older side and they have grandkids now and they didn't even know that was out there available.
Yep.
So that's something that could be fun to do. And kids really get a lot of energy out when they do
the kids love Airborne.
Bounce around.
Yeah, just go in, bounce around for a while. You have to sign a waiver for Airborne and you have to buy socks. If you buy a pair of special socks, if you buy a pair of socks there, you can reuse them.
But
it has to be
safe,
their socks.
So they're not slipping. And
yeah.
As a mom, I have no issue with that because I'd like people to be as safe as can be.
And then my PSA is know where you put the socks, because then your daughter takes the socks to their room and the next time she wants to go, she can find one sock.
Yes.
And then you're buying socks again.
So it's one sock. We can always find one. Mom, I know right where it is. I'm like, where's the
or you have
one?
the orange one that they were doing 2 years ago, and then you have the sock they're doing now. So, but it's great. I like Airborne. Again, they have people in there supervising it, trying to do a good job, trying to watch people and such. But Airborne can be fun. And I know they have a section over there that they used to do like dodgeball within the section where you're bouncing around. So
be careful.
So there's some fun stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, speaking of jumping all around, this is more for the little folk. And that's Castaway Cafe. That's over on the west side of Howell, outside of the Outlet Mall. Oh. And that's this huge, gigantic climbing thing, right? So especially if your kid is 4, 5, 6, they have really comfortable couches and lazy chairs right there facing this big climber. So the adults can come and sit down, and you can see them as they climb
coffee.
Up. And they do have that too. And slide down. So you can still keep eyes on them. You don't have to go up inside of it with them, even though certainly people can do that. And I know there was lots of times you did that too. But especially as they got a little older, where, we're less helicopter parents at that point, then we could just let them run amok.
I remember all 3 kids at right around 4 or 5 getting to the top and then either not wanting to come down or not figuring out how to come down. And I had to climb all the way up there.
Yeah.
Okay. Or they realize they want you to follow them.
Yeah, I think that's really what it was.
So the trick is to bring a friend with them, so it's not just them, and they have someone to run around with.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to do it.
Exactly, because that never happens when there's a friend.
No, if there's a friend, it's no
just
problem.
If they're on their own, then it's
they want someone to play with, right? But they do also have bounce houses in there, and they do have an arcade in there. And they may have a mini laser tag.
I think they do have the laser tag in there.
They have the laser tag in there as well, yeah. So it's a fun day. Again, if the schools are closed that day and it's too cold to go outside, or you just need something indoors for them to do, it's really good.
Option.
It's a great option. Bring some hand sanitizer with you, because there's people climbing all over that. They do clean that out all the time, and such. But again, I really like that there.
And we've had client appreciation events there before.
Yeah, we do.
And
we're probably going to have one coming up again there.
Hopefully, yeah. But Historic Hall Theater, a lot of these we've used ourselves for our business and real estate.
Yep.
And it's really great benefits to our community to have these
available.
And so we just try to support them however much we can.
100%. 100%. You know, the next one is interesting because it's one of those things that we don't think about during the winter.
Yeah.
And funny, you don't think about it during the summer as much either because you want to do it outside.
Yeah.
But we have indoor pools here.
Yes.
Right? And we have indoor pools that they have open time where you can take your kids at to go swimming.
Right.
Right? So, you know, Heartland Pool is great. They have that, and you can use that for parties as well. And I know the Heartland Pool has a slide in it.
Right. Yeah. I remember there being some
They have a
fun
little
kiddie
bit of a
things.
splash area and such. The Howell Pool has that as well. So you have some options
I think
there.
that's more just the pool. I think I
It's
remember
just the pool.
Heartland having the fun cutesy things.
Exactly.
But both of them are great, and especially again for young kids, you want to do something different with them. Maybe they're not even school age, and you're just looking for something fun.
Exactly.
That's something that can be active and sensory.
Yep. And look at their events that they have because they'll have fun events throughout the year where they theme it and such. I know Howell used to do a rubber duck day where you went in there and there's like thousands of rubber ducks in the water.
Yeah.
Right. So there's some fun things and such. In fact, our oldest son did a triathlon.
Yeah.
Where he had to go in the pool, and it was for little kids where they did 2 laps in the pool, and then they had
it was
to
like
go
9 or 10 or
9 or
something.
10, and then they did the biking and they did the running.
It was in the spring.
It was in the spring.
It was not in the winter, but
Right.
but it was fun that we kind of came across that through community ed, which those the catalogs get sent to the house a couple times a year for whatever community you're in. Our county has a lot of great options.
You know, it's not on our list, but when you said community ed, the Hive in Howell
Oh yeah,
is it's like a community teen youth center type thing. It is right on Grand River. You know where it is as you hit the high school because there's a huge Adirondack chair out in front of it.
Yeah.
Like the size of a car.
yeah, easy to spot.
Easy to spot, yeah. So that's a great option as well, right?
Yeah.
The next one on the list is an old-fashioned one. It's
Yeah.
bowling.
Yeah,
You know,
again, something you might be able to be better than your kids at. Right?
That's right, yeah. So, there's a bowling alley in Brighton. There's a bowling alley in
Bolodrome.
And again, there are great options in Fowlerville and Pinckney. For this list, since we are in,
Yeah, in terms of our stomping grounds are Howell and Brighton, and they're kind of the bigger communities.
well,
so,
especially with when our kids were of those ages to
Right.
do those things.
That's true.
Right? So that's why it's kind of centered that way. But I think bowling is a great option to go out and get a lane for an hour or do a couple games. They can bring the bumpers up if you have little kids so they're not getting a gutter ball every single time. And it's just a great option to go out and have some fun. Again, you can get a pizza while you're sitting there. You can get a pitcher of pop. You could get a beer. And your kids can have fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that's fun for everybody.
Yeah.
And
Even for grandparents, if they were taking their grandkids, they could still bowl and have a good time.
Exactly. It's not like, in terms of years past, I always remember bowling alleys being the smoky place. And they're just not like that anymore. Certainly not around here.
No, most bowling alleys you can't smoke in anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Which is great. I remember before where there was smoking in restaurants, and especially when we were in college, we'd go out to a bar and it'd be smoking. And
You're dating yourself again.
I
think
understand.
It's been a hot minute. But what I'm saying is in terms of having kids, that
Yes.
I think that might have been what I was paranoid about when the kids were younger, of like, oh, I don't know. And then it's just not like that.
No, and I love that it's a fun, safe, controlled environment.
Right.
And I really like that because you know where they are and they're just having a blast.
Yeah.
It's something different for them that they don't see that often.
Yes. That's
Right?
true. Yeah. Because I feel like culturally as kids, that's something we used to do in our generation more in younger years than our kids certainly did.
Exactly. And again, one of those, call and make sure they have open lanes available. A lot of these places have leagues going on and such, and you don't want to get the kids excited for something and you go there and you find out that at the time you're there, it's not an option.
Right.
Right. So always call ahead. Right.
Yeah.
The next one on the list is a free one, which is
Yes,
great. All right. The local libraries are great.
Yeah.
They have a lot of great programs and such. And regardless of the tablets and the Kindles, and I love supporting local bookstores and such, there's just something about going to the library and get your kid a library card.
Yeah.
If they don't have one yet, take them out there and let them get it for themselves. Don't get it for them. Right. And give them that ownership of the library card. But they have so many great programs. They can go down there and pick their own books, but they have, fun sessions. They sometimes have like Legos and such, or they'll do crafts. There's a lot of great things going on at the local library.
Yeah. And a lot of times those show up in the community ed, those pamphlets, like I said, but even just going online.
Right.
I know Howell, that's Cromaine, that's, in terms of...
That's an Andrew Carnegie library.
That's what I was going to say.
That rotunda at the front, that is beautiful.
That's very special for us to have that in our community.
Yep.
But all of them, just in terms of each of the communities, it's fascinating. And even when our kids were young and we were in Howell, but Brighton had, I remember it had like a superhero escape room thing. And so we brought our sons to that. Right. That was just easy and fun and cute. And they always had just really neat things. And the people there.
Well, that's one of those examples of the events going on that you didn't even know existed. I remember being in downtown Howell, and all of a sudden, what's going on at the library? And remember, they had the rock climbing outside, and they had all these different sessions and everything for the kids and everything for free.
Yeah. It wound up, I think that year was Melon Fest. It was the start of Melon Fest. We didn't even know Melon Fest was a thing out there. Right. But it was just so much fun for the kids.
Yep.
So.
But the library is great. The library does do used book sales once or twice a month that you can go in there, go down into an area where they'll have books that are being sold that people have brought in to donate, that the money goes towards the events that the library is holding and such, and really helps support them. But again, a great thing, you give your kid a couple dollars, they can go in and they can come out and they've picked out a new book, and they have, so it's just a fun thing to do, right?
Yeah. Well, and just to check library books out doesn't cost any money, but for the book fair,
for the book
purchasing
fair, right?
Books and stuff.
But yeah, being able to check out books, you can check out puzzles at the library.
Yeah.
So there's some great things there. Movies too, but everyone's streaming now.
Yeah, exactly. Again, boy, you're just making me feel really old.
Yep. So the next one on the list is an outdoor thing.
Yeah, we have a couple other outdoor ideas, I know.
Yep. So the first one is the Howell Nature Center. The Howell Nature Center is great. They do a ton of events and such. They have some nice outdoor events. Everything's outdoors.
Any season, by the way.
Yes.
Even in the winter, they definitely still do things.
They have a huge event for Groundhog Day.
That's right.
You know? So, but they have, you can go there and see the animals that they have there. They are helping those, animals that have been injured and such. So they keep them there. They help them out. They have a ton of great programs. They have, for the summer, they have camps and everything. But in the winter, it's a great time to go there. For anyone that has never been to a zoo in the winter, the zoo in the winter is pretty cool, because when you're going to these types of places and it's hot outside, the animals are hiding.
Right, because it's too hot.
But you go in the winter to the Howell Nature Center, and the animals are out and about because they're in their environment and they like the cold.
Right. Yeah, it's not like an exotic zoo. It's more like the kind of animals that are indigenous to Michigan.
Right, but if you wanted to go see, a deer up close, and they have some great birds there.
Yeah.
Like for the, the different birds and such, it's really cool to see. We do have a lot of great sledding places in the county. Yeah. Everyone always knows where some places to go sledding are and such. I know that Genoa Township has a great sledding hill.
Right at the Township Hall.
Right at Township Hall on Door Road. But it's a great opportunity to get outside and to go sledding. Too many kids don't get outside as much anymore. Yeah. So get out there, do some sledding. To that point where I'm talking about a township and such, Osceola Township has a great community center.
Right.
With basketball courts inside and such. There's a lot of great things in the area that you can go do for free or for not much money that you can get active at.
Right. This is true. Even not so much in the cold, but as the weather thaws out some, the Imagination Station in Brighton there.
Yes.
Oh, that's really fun, especially as kids are little. It's such a great, it's a playground, really.
It's a huge playground. It's a huge wood playground, and there's just so much going on in there. But those things are fun, not when it's a ton of snow, but those things are fun year round. And even if they're only outside for 10 or 15 minutes, it's just fun to get out and do something. While we're speaking of outside, it's an easy one to put on the list. It does cost money. It is not cheap, but we have a ski hill in Livingston County.
Right. And how special is that? Think about that.
Mount Brighton is right here.
Yeah.
And Mount Brighton does a great job. Teenagers, kids, they love being able to have that right in their backyard and to not have to drive 2 or 3 hours and to be able to meet friends there and go skiing or snowboarding with friends.
Right.
Right. And if you've never done it before, you can rent equipment there. They have bunny hills. You can get lessons. There's just a lot of great things going on there. But if we're talking about fun things in the county, you cannot miss the fact that we have a ski hill.
Right. And it's kind of neat because it's owned by Vail.
Yes.
From Colorado. So, certainly there's some corporate backing behind there, but it's, you can see it from different parts of the city. It's kind of interesting.
And they do some fun events too. In late February, they're having a night skiing event put on by Mountain Dew, where they're going to have a DJ, they're going to give people glow sticks, they're going to have a big air competition. So if you're quick to listening to this episode, check out Mount Brighton and see what that is. But they have events every winter, and they have great things going on to be able to have fun while you're there.
Right. Absolutely, because getting outside, getting that fresh air.
Yeah.
And definitely in terms of teenagers,
In terms of teenagers and preteens, I think it's important to get them out and get them active.
Yeah.
Let them go out there. Let them experience some of these things with their friends.
Yeah.
Right? It's great going to Airborne by yourself, but it's better going with a couple friends, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of these things are like, the arcade, the escape room, great with parents, great with family, great with friends as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Whole variety. There's some paintball in the south area of the county, isn't there?
There is, and I've been there.
Outdoor. Yeah.
Yeah, so Pinckney has paintball. It's right there on D19. I do not know if they do it in the winter, and I'm thinking that they don't.
Yeah, maybe not.
But if you haven't paintballed, it's a rush. It's
better to do
it's
in
a big
kind
day.
of a group, right?
It is a
Grab
group
some friends,
thing.
but you can
grab
have
something.
The adults and the kids, and
yeah, I've done it. You've done it once, right?
I feel like I have. It's been a while.
I've done it 3 or 4 times.
I feel like with the Scouts,
yes,
there were some things that we
I
did.
remember the welts from one of the times I got
There you
it.
go.
So, but yeah, no, paintball is a great thing.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of different things. But during the summer, Livingston County is amazing.
There's even more. We might have to do
more. We
this
might have to do even
episode
more
again.
with all the lakes and all the different things going on and everything. But also in the winter, Brighton Rec, not Brighton Rec, but the park, the state park down there,
Right.
the Brighton Rec area, they have horses.
Oh yeah,
And you can go down there and you can go horseback riding.
that's a great idea too.
And that is a great activity for outside.
Absolutely. See, these are all these cool, fun things that my brain's going, and like we haven't done some of these in so many years, and it makes me kind of want to do it. So hopefully we're inspiring you too.
I agree with you. It's funny because, kids can get lost on their tablets.
Yeah.
And parents can get lost on their phones and tablets as well.
Yeah.
And it's easy to be like, hey, I'm going to go home and I'm just going to chill and I'm going to Netflix and I'm just going to veg today, right?
Yeah.
But if you go out and you do some activities and you go and you support these local businesses and you get out there and you meet some people, you're going to find that there's so many fun things to do. And then you're going to earn that time later to sit back and relax.
Right.
And I just think that it's good for your mind, your body, and your soul to be a little bit active and to get out there. I go to the gym and such, but it doesn't.
But to make these memories with kids.
Yes.
Because they're only young once.
Right.
And for those that they're still at fun ages, know that the teen years are coming. So you should do some fun stuff now while you have a chance.
Before they don't want to do it with you anymore.
They don't want to do it with you when you're older. But then you can still make them do it anyway. And then lo and behold, they have a really good time. So there's definitely some of that. Yep. But we live in such a fantastic county that there's all these different options and fun things to do and so many things that you can do with having kids, because before you know it, they're all grown up and won't even have the chance anymore.
Right, exactly. So, get out there and check out some of those things that you drive by and you're like, hey, I haven't done that in a while. Do some bowling.
Yeah.
Maybe strap on some roller skates. You can do roller blading while you're there as well. Some of the young ones at Rollerama. But I think that's one of those fun ones too that, I remember doing it as a kid, and I can get out there and do it. And our kids were surprised that I was able to roller skate.
Yeah, this is true. So surprise yourself on what you're capable of.
Yep.
So good times. Good
wonderful.
Times. Great.
Well, and there's, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I hope people have had a great time, but I bet that there are items out there that we weren't thinking of.
Yes.
Right? So when we throw this out there and we have our reel online and everything, I'd love to hear some of the items that we haven't hit on that are those fun things to do with kids in the county, because parents are always looking for new ideas.
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. But it's a fun place, and get out there, and hopefully we've inspired you to shake it up and go take your kids and do something fun.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for listening today. We love having you here. We love having you listen to our episodes. Please check out some of our other episodes and like us and follow us on our socials.
Yeah.
So,
welcome to Livingston.